Tessa Blanchard to WWE. That is the story that a lot of people are talking about after Tessa Blanchard was released by Impact Wrestling at the end of last week and stripped of the Impact Wrestling World Championship. Now, Dave Meltzer from the Wrestling Observer newsletter is reporting that WWE has, quote, sent feelers out, end quote, to former Impact World Champion Tessa Blanchard to gauge interest in Blanchard working with WWE in the future. Now, there have yet to been any comments or reports about if AEW does have interest in signing Tessa Blanchard. I've noticed that, as I speculated in my previous video about Tessa Blanchard, this has been backed up by the likes of Sean Ross Sapp and Alex McCarthy, that it's unlikely, or the word is, or the thought is from people on the Impact Wrestling roster and sources close to Tessa Blanchard, that AEW would have any or little interest in signing Tessa Blanchard at all. Now, Tessa Blanchard, of course, was terminated by Impact Wrestling last week, being stripped of the Impact World Championship in the process. Tessa Blanchard had originally been scheduled to return to Impact Wrestling and defend her World Championship at Slammiversary on July 18th. After not appearing on Impact Wrestling for several months due to the COVID-19 lockdown and quarantine, several reports have suggested that Tessa Blanchard was asked by Impact Wrestling officials to send in promos from her home in Mexico to hype up her upcoming return at Slammiversary. However, this was met with refusal and silence by the Impact World Champion. It has been suggested that there were also negotiations for Tessa Blanchard to return to Impact for one appearance to drop the aforementioned Impact World Championship, but an agreement could not be reached between both parties. Now, of course, you have to remember that Tessa Blanchard has worked with WWE in the past. She appeared on the NXT brand for a few appearances in 2016 and also competed in the 2017 Mae Young Classic. However, it was reported at the time and subsequently after the fact that Tessa Blanchard was not signed by WWE due to, quote, attitude issues, something which Tessa Blanchard has denied in the past. She said the split between her and WWE was completely amicable, and Tessa Blanchard decided to move on to other pastures. In addition to these allegations of having attitude issues, Tessa Blanchard was accused of racist and bullying behaviour earlier this year prior to her becoming the Impact World Champion at the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. These accusations came on social media from several wrestling personalities and professional wrestlers. Now, in terms of the likelihood of the WWE deal between Tessa Blanchard coming to WWE, Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful.com is reporting that many within Impact Wrestling thought there would be interest from WWE and AAA in Mexico, something that I had speculated on in our prior video. He said, quote, as far as those in Impact we spoke to go, some thought she'd get interest from AAA and WWE, but that AEW wouldn't try to bring her in despite having Tully Blanchard on the staff. This also confirms something I mentioned previously about Tully Blanchard and his position of power in AEW. Tully Blanchard is just an on-screen character. He might help as maybe put some matches together. They mentioned him as a coach in AEW, but the main thing is he's on camera. He's a manager for and he said Tully Blanchard, for Sean Spears Day. He's given him the black glove recently on AEW. Tully Blanchard does not have any pull, any stroke, or anything of that matter in AEW right now. He just doesn't. The people are in charge there. The buck stops at Tony Khan. The people, the EVPs in charge there, the likes of Cody Rhodes, Kenny Omega, the Bucks, etc., they do have stroke in AEW, but the buck ultimately stops with Tony Khan when it comes to AEW. Now, when Tony Khan has made such a big deal about banning Hulk Hogan and his ex-wife Linda Hogan from ever appearing or coming to an AEW show due to Hulk Hogan's previous racist remarks that were leaked in 2015, it doesn't make any sense for Tessa Blanchard to be hired by AEW. It'd be very hypocritical, in my point of view, to have to hire someone and pay them a good amount of money. Because let's be honest, Tessa Blanchard, wherever she's going, she's getting a big contract. It wouldn't make any sense to pay someone who has been accused of racist behavior and racist comments a lot of money when you've banned someone who has made racist comments from ever appearing or coming to an AEW show. It's a complete oxymoron there, so I think that pretty much rules out AEW signing Tessa Blanchard, and it has been confirmed by Sean Ross Sapp. Now, he also released some details about Tessa Blanchard's release last week. He said, quote, for those asking, there is no non-compete clause tied to the termination of Tessa Blanchard that we're aware of. With her contract set to expire on June 30th, a non-compete clause beyond that would have been seen as an extension, and she would have had to agree to it. Coming out of the last tapings, nearly everyone in Impact we spoke to didn't expect her to appear at Slammiversary. Most of the roster we'd heard from thought her contract extended into July. So there's a lot of moving parts here. Now, as Sean just mentioned there, her contract was scheduled to expire on June 30th. So it was a surprise that she was announced for Slammiversary in the first place, considering Slammiversary happens in July. So that, again, doesn't make a lot of sense. I think, like the Impact Wrestling roster had speculated there, with her being announced to appear at Slammiversary, the logic would suggest that she would have signed an extension with Impact, but that wasn't the case. So it makes you wonder why she was announced there in the first place, if Impact thought that that deal was going to get done. Just a lot of strange stuff coming out about this Tessa Blanchard story and her release from Impact Wrestling. I think there's a lot to be released still. I think there's a lot we'll find out still in the coming days and weeks. As far as WWE interest in her, I mentioned this previously when it comes to Tessa Blanchard and her, and if she does sign with WWE. Given the current climate that we're currently living in at the moment, when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement, when it comes to WWE's disastrous handling of the pandemic era that they've had with testing and all of this stuff, you got to think of all the negative PR that WWE are receiving right now. Would they really be willing to be taking this massive PR risk? I've mentioned this several times on social media now. Tessa Blanchard, and I must say this before I go into my big spiel here. Tessa Blanchard is a fantastic worker. She's a fantastic worker. She's arguably one of the best female wrestlers in the world right now. She was the first ever female to become a male world champion in professional wrestling history. That didn't just make wrestling headlines, that didn't just make sport headlines, that made mainstream headlines. It's the most coverage that Impact Wrestling has gotten in a long time, when she won the world championship earlier this year at Hard to Kill. And that was the reason behind it. But Tessa Blanchard realistically was one of the only people Impact Wrestling could have pulled that off with. That shows how good Tessa Blanchard is. But at that time, when Impact was getting that positive coverage of gender equality and having a female become a male world champion, these were met with the allegations of racism, of bullying by several wrestling personalities and professional wrestlers on social media during that weekend. And the statements that Tessa Blanchard responded to those with was, I admit I've made mistakes, I've never done racist behaviour, but I've admitted that I've never been perfect in the past. It wasn't the best apology. It wasn't the best statement to make at the time. Now, again, would WWE be really willing to risk negative PR in the current situation that they're in and sign Tessa Blanchard? It makes you wonder. But then, of course, I've mentioned this in the past, and I'm not going to shy away from it here. WWE's past when it comes to racist storylines, racist behavior, racist talent is sketchy at best. You've got to remember that they fired Hulk Hogan, erased him from the company's history in 2015 after those aforementioned racist tapes and comments were released and leaked to the media. Hulk Hogan didn't appear on WWE TV for 4 years, wasn't even included in the Hall of Fame, but we're here in 2020 and Hulk Hogan's back in the fold and has appeared on WWE TV numerous times. He's back in the Hall of Fame regardless of his comments, and that was again met with widespread criticism. And let's be honest here, Tessa Blanchard isn't Hulk Hogan. Now, I must say, of course, these allegations of those behavior and of those comments is just that it's alleged and it hasn't been confirmed, like the Hulk Hogan one was confirmed due to the leaked audio. So again, it's a difficult situation that you're in at the moment. But WWE likes to talk about having great PR, positive PR, anti-racism. They've released a statement on anti-racism and Black Lives Matter. Were they really so soon after they've released that statement and we're currently in the Black Lives Matter movement at the moment, would they really be willing to risk the negative PR at the moment? It's certainly something that has divided many people on social media. When I've spoken about it on social media in the past, 50% of people are going, absolutely no way, no one should sign her. And another 50% of people are going, they're just allegations. She's a great talent. She's a great in-ring worker. She'd be a massive addition to any female division, whether it's in WWE, AAA, or AEW. They should go ahead and sign her. So it's something that's incredibly divisive, which again reinforces my point. If it's something that is that divisive on social media alone, is it something that WWE really want to get themselves involved in at the moment? And I'm just not sure, because the signing of Tessa Blanchard at the moment is going to be met with, what about these allegations? You just know what it is. And it's not whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's something that the media will pick up on. And that's what WWE ultimately cares about here. It's what the media thinks of the allegations against Tessa Blanchard. Do you really think after all the allegations that are levied at WWE right now, when it comes to their sketchy past, when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when it comes to the speaking out movement at the moment, there were rumours about shutting down NXT UK. That isn't going to happen, but they're releasing talent left, right and centre that have been accused as part of the speaking out process, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. And you've got the allegations about the poor testing procedures and the poor health and safety precautions, and people staying at home because they don't feel safe, and not being told not to wear masks on TV tapings, and all of this horror stories, bringing in a 71-year-old Ric Flair into a place that is infected with COVID-19, and all this negative PR and negative stories surrounding WWE at the moment. Do they really, really want to be signing someone with this checkered past in history? I just don't know if it's the wisest thing at the moment. Factor in also, you've just released as Black Wednesday back in April because you can't afford to have certain amounts of talent on the roster. Do you really want to be then back in a position where you're signing people for the roster? It's a very confusing time at the moment in the world when it comes to finances as well. So there is my long-winded point is, and I will make it eventually, guys. My long-winded point is that there is a lot of baggage here. There is a lot of baggage when it comes to Tessa Blanchard, and I don't know if WWE really needs to act so quickly here because they don't have competition here for Tessa Blanchard. AEW isn't interested and isn't going to be interested in Tessa Blanchard. It's just been stated by several sources, and I think those sources are very close to Tessa Blanchard and AEW themselves. AAA, I mentioned AAA. I think AAA would be the best fit for her right now. I don't know if AAA are actually running shows at the moment. That might be a factor in that one. But she lives in Mexico. She can make good money there. She can stay close to home. And she can rebuild her reputation from there. Because her reputation has taken a hit in the last few years. Absolutely. The allegations of racist behaviour, attitude issues, not sending in promos to Impact Wrestling. I mean, this way that it's ended with Impact Wrestling is ugly to say the least. So, again, that's even more baggage when it comes to Tessa Blanchard. WWE can sit on this one for a while. They don't need to make any rash decisions. They're already considered as the front runners to sign her. I'm stunned that they're willing to make that risky decision right now, considering the era that we're living in terms of health and safety, the era that we're living in when it comes to Black Lives Matter. The baggage that comes with signing Tessa Blanchard at the moment, to me, just seems risky. That's the word. It's risky. And I would be stunned that WWE, who you would think as $1 billion publicly traded company, and the stock market is so volatile at the moment and share prices are so volatile at the moment, if they'd be willing to take that kind of PR risk. I'm not saying that signing Tessa Blanchard is going to rocket or send the stock prices declining or whatsoever. Not at all. I'm just saying that this could blow up into a lot more, and I don't know. It's a risk, but I'm sure we'll see more about it in the coming days. There's lots being reported about it this morning, and I'm sure there'll be more being reported about it as the weeks go on, as we head closer into Slammiversary and we head towards the end of the month, which is just a couple of days' time, which is when Tessa Blanchard's original Impact Wrestling contract would have ended. Now, of course, this is just one man's opinion. What about your opinion? Do you think WWE should sign Tessa Blanchard? Is it a PR risk? Should WWE take the risk, or should they hold off for a while? Should Tessa Blanchard go to AAA instead? Do you think AEW is interested in Tessa Blanchard signing her at all? Let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to give this video a like and be sure to subscribe to Wrestle News 365 on YouTube. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video, along with another video for you to watch. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms too. They're on the screen right now at 365Wrestle and at WrestleNew365 on Facebook and Instagram. Be sure to go to WrestleNews365.com also for all the very latest news, articles and opinions. All of the good stuff at WrestleNews365.com. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you've come across this video today. And I'll speak with you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.